Also, a graphic designer is supposed to prepare files for print. If their client says that they want a design, that they'll print it, especially those ones that are used for voting and packaging, magazines, books, business card, and all these things. So a graphic designer is supposed to be able to do that, prepare the materials so that they can print them as well. Photo editing. Photo editing, very important. Most of the times, people will send you photos that they are really not good, and you have to edit them and use it for your design and use it for the design for them. So a graphic design is supposed to know how to edit photos as well. So the next thing we are talking about is principles of design. Principles of design. Principles of design gives function and purpose to every element. So this one is very important because people don't just wake up and say they are doing graphic design, they are designing something. You have to know why you are designing something. You have to know the reason why you are choosing these particular colors, reason why you are choosing this particular font. All these things are very important, and we'll go through all of them before we end today's class. So one of the principles of design is repetition. Repetition. So it means reusing elements to create consistency and unity. So when you look at some of the designs, or when you look at this school cloth and all those things, they are normally repetition. So you see they did just part and now they repeated it over and over again. That's why we have this school cloth. And also in designs that we share, sometimes you see a small circle that has been repeated many times. All these things is a principle of design, that's repetition. So we have hierarchy. Hierarchy. So this means guiding the viewer's eye by ranking by importance. Ranking by importance. So when you see a design, most of the time you realize that you see something first, or you see the title of it is bigger than every other thing on the design. So that's hierarchy. If I make a design, I want the viewer to see one thing first before he goes to see the other. And most of the time is the title. Most of the time is the title. So looking at this picture here, the first thing the viewer will see is the circle before he goes ahead to see the rectangle under it and see the other elements in it. So that's hierarchy, the one of the principle for designing, and it's very important. So let's note this. Emphasis. So this is making the most important elements stand out. Making the most important elements stand out. So if I make a design, I want people to see this particular thing. I have to make it stand out. One of the things I can do, I can make that thing stand out is to give it a color. To give it a color, or to make that thing bigger so that that person will know that this is what I want that person to see. There are also other ways of making it, so we'll talk about that also. And most of these principles of elements, you'll get to understand it more when we start doing the practical aspects. And we also have construct, using differences to make certain elements stand out and grab attention. So just like you can see the red shape here, if someone is to see it, you see this red thing first. You don't see the white stuff first. You see the red thing because of the construct that was used. Also balance, distribution of visual weight. When you look at some books, you realize that most time they use the symmetrical balance. So you can see in the first small image there that the one at the left side is equal to the one at the right side. So there's not really any difference. And asymmetric, there's a difference. Looking at the left side and the right side, you can see there's a difference there as well. Unity. Unity is making all elements feel cohesive and part of a whole. So when you start doing graphic design, you go and download a picture from here, or download an icon from here, or download all kinds of elements for your design. And when you bring them together, you are supposed to make sure that all of them are united, all of them feels together. Okay. So that it won't be like one is separate, one is different. No. When they come together, they should be one design. Everyone should have each role playing in it. And there shouldn't be one that is like left out and one that is different. All of them are supposed to be one. Okay. We have proximity. Proximity. So this is grouping related elements together for clarity. So looking at most designs, you realize that they normally group social media handles together. So when you look at some of the flyers, you realize that social media flyers are grouped together. Sometimes they group the date and the time together. Sometimes they'll add the venue as well. And all these things are proximity. They are using the principle of design, this proximity principle. Also, white space or negative space. We saw this earlier, negative space. So when you're making a design, you're not supposed to fill every space with a text or an element or whatever. You are supposed to create a space where we'll talk about this later, but let me say it right now. Where there's a breathing space, we call it breathing. So that looking at this image here, you can realize that there are spaces inside. Those spaces are the white space or negative space. So most of the time, when you make a design for someone, the person will be thinking that you should fill the space with something. But when you fill the space with something, the design become um scattered and all those things. So we leave these white spaces for it to breathe. So as I wrote here, using empty space to avoid clutter and focus attention. So if I want people to focus on something, I have to make sure that we are using the principle of emphasis. We are using the other principles as well. So that we can create a white space where don't be anything really there, because we want to avoid clutter and focus attention. We have movement, leading the viewer's eye in a deliberate path across the design. So looking at the picture there, you realize that it just shows you where you should look. So when you start from the top, it just directs you, then you get to the shape at the middle. Okay. So this thing is also applied in graphic design. You have to lead the person's eye so that the person will be able to see what he or she is supposed to see from the first, the second, to the all the way to the last. Also, color theory. Color theory. Colors are very important in design. They are very, very important in design, and they tells a lot. So what is color theory? Is the study of how colors interact, mix, and affect emotions to create visually appealing designs. It's the study of how colors interact, mix, and affect emotions to create visually appealing designs. So we choose colors because we want them to create or invoke emotions. We also choose colors that can interact with each other. We also choose colors that when we mix them together, we can have a very nice design or a very nice flyer. So that's what color theory would tell us or would teach us in this part. To understand colors, you have to understand color role because this is very important. Looking at the colors in the circle, there's a way to know it and apply this in your designs. Let's go over the circle, then we'll go to the qualities, properties, harmony, and the others. Then we'll be done with colors. Then we'll go to font and talk about it. So when you look at the color wheel, you can see a yellow there, you can see a red, you can see a blue. So these colors are primary colors. Primary colors. So when you add two primary colors together, you get a secondary color. So red plus yellow will give us orange, right? And red plus blue will give us violet. Also, remember that when you add a primary color and a secondary color, you get a tertiary color. When you add a primary color and a secondary color, you get a tertiary color. So those are the colors there. So some of them are that blue, orange, and all those things. So talk about color qualities and properties. Color qualities or properties. The first thing we talk about is hue. So this is very simple. It's the color itself. So when you take red like this, it's a hue. When you take blue, it's a hue. When you take yellow, it's a hue. So a hue is basically color. So the name of the color is a hue. Red is the color itself. And we take saturation. So this means how intensity or purity of the color, or in simple ways, we can say how deep or light the color is. So when we take blue like this, blue is very, very saturated. So for us to decrease the saturation, you realize that it's decreasing when you move to the second shape and to the third shape. This second set of shapes are red. So the first one is red, pure red. And as you move down, the saturation decreases. The next thing we'll talk about is value. Value is how light or dark a color is. How light or dark a color is. How light or dark a color is. So this value is divided into three parts. We'll talk about the shade. So the shade is anytime you add black to a color, you have a shade of that color. So when we take red like this and we add black to red, we'll get the color there, wine or something. So that's a shade. And when you come to tint, this is when you add white to a color. So it's like it's fading. The color is fading. So you're adding white to it, to that color, and it's like the color is fading. And the shade is you're adding black to it, and the color is becoming deeper. Okay. So that's for shade and tint. We have also tone. Tone is also adding gray to the color. So that gray is simply black and white. When you add black and white together, you get gray. And when you add a gray to any color, you get a tone of that color. Okay. color harmony. Color harmony. This is very important because you have to know which colors you have to use to make your designs harmonize or unite or to tell something. One of the thing you have to use is complementary. Complementary. So these are colors that are opposite on the color wheel. So when you take yellow, for instance, the opposite of yellow is violet. When you take red, the opposite of red is a orange or green. So that's it. When you take blue also. So just the colors opposite it are complementary. So you can decide that I want to design something. I'll use yellow and blue. Okay, I'll use only yellow and blue for that design. So that's complementary. We have tetradic. Hello, can you hear me now? Okay. I realized that some people raise their hand, so if you have a question, you can ask.
Okay, good evening. The reason why I raised my hand, your sound was, we couldn't
Okay.
hear you.
Hope you can hear me well.
Yes,
Yes. So let's continue. I think because you are using the free version of Zoom, we'll have to join the meeting again. So we have about 2 minutes left, then the meeting will end. But let's continue. Okay. So red. Red is used for logos and branding. So when you look at the logos at the right-hand side, you can see Target, you can see Marvel, you can see Netflix, you can see Vodafone and a whole lot of Pinterest and all those things. So these are used by brands that want to appear dynamic, exciting, and powerful. We also have Coca-Cola as well. You can see Coca-Cola as well. So that's for branding and logos. The next thing we'll talk about is call to action. When you go to websites and things, you see a sign up button that is red. Mostly the sign up button they use red for call to action. So red is mostly used for that. Red buttons create a sense of urgency and stands out, encouraging users to buy now or sign up. The next thing we'll talk about is food and restaurants. Food and restaurants. So red is mostly used in food industries or in restaurants. So it's known to stimulate appetite, making it a popular choice for food-related branding and packaging. So KFC is an example. We have the picture, the Raisin Kings, and mostly our local food shops, they use either red or yellow. We'll talk about yellow later as well. So if you can hear me, please, I'll end the meeting, then you will join. Okay, because our time is almost up, less than a minute. So the next thing is food packaging. Food packaging. When we when you go to the supermarket, you realize that most of the food packaging is either they are in red or they are in yellow. And bright yellow can make food products appear fun and delicious. Like when you look at fast food, chips and all these things, their branding is mostly yellow. And the next color we'll talk about is white. With this psychology of color psychology, I want us to talk about just 5 colors. As we move on, we'll get to know the other colors and what they are used for, and their positive and their negative um, connotation or whatever. So the next color we are talking about is white. White is mostly used in backgrounds and negative space. Negative space. So white is essential for creating clean, uncluttered designs. It allows other elements to breathe and make the content easier to read and focus on. So there's a reason why our exam papers are white and not any other color because of this reason. Okay. And designs as well, we realize that there's white in it, and as I said, negative space as well. The next thing is that white is also used in minimalist products and high-ending branding. When you look at um, rooms, most rooms, minimalist rooms, buildings, they all like to use white and high-end branding as well. When you look at Apple products are either black or white. Most of them are either black or white because of this as well. So brands that want to appear sophisticated or simple and modern often use white as their primary color. Often use white as their primary color. The next thing we talk about is the health and wellness. Its association with purity and cleanliness makes it a popular choice for medical, health, and cosmetic brands. So in the health sector, people normally use white. When you look at doctors' white lab coat, you don't go to the hospital and see a doctor wearing black lab coat, no, or yellow lab coat. They use white because of its sense of purity and cleanliness. And when you look at cosmetic products, most of them either black or white, black or white. The next thing we'll talk about is fashion and art. So mostly the fashion industry normally like to make dresses or stuff that are white. When you look at round necks like this, mostly it's white or black. When you look at this strange dresses and all those things, mostly it's white. So white conveys a sense of high class, simplicity, and is often used in galleries and high fashion. So high class, simplicity, and often used in galleries and high fashion. The next color we'll talk about is black. 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 Okay. So the first thing about black is that yeah, text and readability. Readability. Black text are mostly used on white backgrounds. So let's go to the example of the exam paper. You realize that you have a white paper and black text. Books as well also have white and paper and black writings. So black is normally used for that. It's mostly used for that as well. This is because it's the most readable combination, making it the standard for body copy in print and digital design. In print and digital design. The next thing as well is luxury and high-end branding. So when you look around, mostly you see cars that are black or luxury products like watches, um, Apple phones. If most of our phones are black, laptops, all these things is to convey a high-end brand or a luxury product. So black is used by premium brands to convey elegance, power, and sophistication. So example, as I said, Apple, those who are into watches who know Rolex watches and all those things. They will also know Rolls Royce and Chanel and other brands also use black because it conveys luxury and elegance, power, sophistication, and all those things. Even when you look at president cars, it's mostly black. It's mostly black. So conveying power. Okay. So typography, it provides the strongest construct, making it perfect for headline and logo types that need to stand out. Typography, it provides the strongest construct, making it perfect for headlines and logo types that need to stand out. So going back to the example of books mostly you realize that the heading or the chapter is black, is black. So that's typography. And the writings as well is also black. The last thing we'll talk about black is formality and authority. So black is used to represent formality and professionalism, often seen in formal invitations and professional websites. So when you look at lawyers and office personnel, it's either they are wearing black top and white down, or they are wearing black coat. All this is because of professionalism and formalities. Okay, so that's it for color psychology. When we start doing the practical aspect, we'll get to know more about colors. So the next thing we are going to talk about is typography. Typography, as I said earlier, is how the text looks or appears. So when you look at the Never Stop Dreaming, is typography. So this font is like a paint brush that is used to write this font, this letter. So you can see as well, there are different styles of fonts. There are different styles of fonts. You can see all these fonts that the person is drawing there. Remember that fonts are a lot. Most of the time, people use their handwriting as fonts. So there are websites there that if you want to have your own font, you go to those websites and you just do some writing. You write the A, write the B, write the C, and that website will use your writing to generate a font for you so that you can use in your design. There are also websites there that you can download fonts. Some people have already done the font, so you just go there and download it. Just go there and download it. So this as well is also font. You can see different fonts there as well. And looking at the 3 standards of free graphic design, you can see it's also a font. Okay, it's also a font. And there are types of fonts. The first classification or types of fonts is one we call serif font. So this font is mostly used in exam papers, so and in books as well. So you realize that there's this, you can see where the circle is. Those things are called serifs. Those things are called serif. So it's like they have a leg or a stand. So you mostly see them in exam papers, books, reading long. If you are reading a long text, it's mostly used. Okay. So as I said, in books, it is mostly used in books as well. We have sans serif, sans serif. So with this one, they don't have the legs like the serif one. They don't have it. So the sans there means that without serif, without serif, without serif. So that's it for, they don't have, they are just plain, plain like that. So sans serif are used for designs like what you can see. Sorry, we are close. This one is sans serif. So you can see that they don't have any leg like the serif one. If I go to the serif, this is how the serifs look like, and this is how the sans look like. So mostly they are used for short stuff. When you look at the warning signs, stop like this, you realize that it's sans serif. Okay, we have script. So script fonts are normally fonts that are like handwriting. So normally they are used in either weddings. You can see. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. So we ended at CorelDRAW. All these ones are design software. So CorelDRAW is a design software. Mostly it's used for, it can be used for flyers, but sometimes it's used for artworks as well. So as you can see there, a person designer artwork. Affinity Designer is also a graphic design software. We have Adobe InDesign. So this software is mostly used for designing books. So the cover page and the structure of the book as well, from chapter 1 to conclusion. From chapter 1 to conclusion. Then we have Adobe Lightroom. Adobe Lightroom. So this software is used for editing pictures. So giving those brightness, highlight, all those things are done right here in Lightroom. So in Lightroom, we don't really remove wrinkles and all those things. It's just used to make the picture brighter or nicer. Okay. Photoshop is used for removing wrinkles, those things on the faces that shouldn't be there. So mostly when a photographer takes a picture, they edit it in Photoshop to remove wrinkles, or Lightroom to just make it nicer, and the highlights that they have to add, the brightness, the contrast, and all those other things. They do it in Lightroom. Okay. Adobe Premiere Pro. So this software is used for video. Mostly it's used for movies. So this is where they edit movies. Okay. This is where they edit movies. And this is used for movies longer than maybe 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So this is where they do all the editing. They bring all the footages together, or all the B-roll or videos, all those things together, the soundtracks, the music, they bring them together here and make them a movie or a nice video. Okay. And we have After Effects. After Effects is a software that is used mostly for animation and for advertisement videos, and also for these short videos. And when you look, I'm sure some of you people follow people on YouTube or TikTok that they do these crazy transitions and all those things. So they mostly do that using After Effects. And After Effects, they don't use After Effects for really long form videos. It's Premiere Pro that is used for that. After Effects is used for short videos. Okay. And we have Photoshop. So Photoshop, as you guys know, we'll be using Photoshop in this graphic design class for designing flyers and other nice stuffs. Okay. So the next thing I'll talk about is design assets. So where to get stock pictures. As a graphic designer, you have to know this website so that you can know where to download pictures, where to download fonts, where to download, if you're a video editor, where to download videos, what we call stock videos or B-rolls, or yeah, and use for your videos, or pictures and use for your graphic design. So the first website is FreePic, and this place you can download almost any picture you want. Now, since AI is there, they have also introduced AI into their website where you can create AI videos and AI pictures as well. Okay, they can download them on this website. One thing I like about this website is that you can. One thing I like about this website is that you can also download files, Photoshop files. You can download Photoshop files. Okay, and download Photoshop files. So maybe someone has done a template down, either a wedding invitation template, or that person has done this latest 3D latest thing that you want to use for your design. So you go there, you search for it, then you download the Photoshop file, then you come and edit it on Photoshop. Okay, so that's why I like Prepic. There's also pixels.com. This site is used to you can download photos and videos here. Photos and videos here. Okay, so stock videos. If you want to use this for your design, you can download them here. We have pizzabay.com. Also for videos and photos. You can also see illustrations, vectors, music, sound effects, 3D models, and a whole lot of stuff here. Okay. So you search for them based on what you want. Either you want nature, flowers, sky, wallpaper, anything. Then download them and use it for your design. We have unsplash.com. This site is also pictures, downloading pictures for your design. Okay, so you can take note of this and just go to those websites and look through. You have Pinterest. Pinterest is also a great place to download pictures for your design. It's also a place where you can learn from people. You can see other designs there and just learn them. Some people even upload short tutorials there, so you can learn from them as well. Okay, we have design assets, color palettes. Color palette is just a combination of colors. So looking at the image there, that's a color palette. So you have different colors there, and you just choose which color you want to use. So we have website for something like that. So Adobe Color, you can go to this website and just get the colors. Maybe you are confused on what color you want to use for the design. So you go to this website and just copy the color code. There's something called color code or hex code. So you go there, you copy those hex code and just go and use them in your design. Okay. We'll learn more about this stuff when we start the practical. We have color hex. So this site, the same thing. There are different colors there. You can choose. Maybe I want to go with the first color template. I want to go palette, the second color palette. I want to go with. So depending on your design, you can choose any of them and start with them. We also have color hunt as well to get any color you want. Those color matches. So if you want any color, maybe you want a black color and you're looking for colors that match black, you just go and take them. Okay. There's also a website called Coolest. Coolest. There's also a website called Coolest. You can also download, you can see the hex code. We'll talk more about it when we start the practical so that we'll understand all these things. Okay. The next thing we'll talk about is design asset icons. Icons. So for icons, social media handles, and all these company logos, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Apple logos, all these things are icons. Emojis, what have you? You get all of them on this website, flaticon.com. Flaticon.com. Okay. our time is up. I don't know whether it would be okay if maybe Tuesday we can also have a class online. I'll just put it on in the group so that we'll just to be a poll so that you guys will decide whether we should meet Tuesday online and start with the introduction of Photoshop. We can even start the practicals on Tuesday as well. Okay. We can start the practicals on Tuesday. I think that's all for today. That's all for today. So let me go over what we've learned so far. We learned about graphic design, and we learned that a design has to convey a message, has to tell something. That's for graphic design. Has to tell something. So if your design is not telling or giving people an information, it's not a graphic design, it's an art. We also talked about principles of design. We mentioned emphasis, we mentioned repetition, we mentioned a whole lot of stuff and the principles of design. We talked about color theory as well, colors, color harmony, color harmony. Please, can you hear me? So we talked about color harmony. We talked about typography, how the text appears. If you can remember, we said serif, sans serif, script, display, font, and all these things. We also talked about brand design. Brand design is not just about the logo. It has a lot to do with other things, the colors they use, the color scheme. And also we talked about design softwares, Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro for video, Adobe After Effects. We talked about Affinity Designer. We talked about Canva. There are also a whole lot of apps that are used on phones to design. I didn't add them. So one of them is called Pixel Lab. So one day maybe we'll talk about that and know how to design with our phones. Okay. So we also talked about design assets, and the icons, the pictures, where to get them, and all those things. Okay. Where to get them. Okay, that's also. We'll just put a poll in the group on those of us who want to have practical class starting this Monday. Or maybe you don't want us, maybe you'll be busy, you don't want us, so you just choose no. Okay. So the last thing I'd like to say, I'm sure you guys can say it. If you can see and think it, you can design it. If you can see and think it, you can design it. But only if you know how to use the tools needed to create them. Anything you can see and think, you can design it. But if you don't know the tools, you'll not be able to create it. So maybe this Tuesday or Sunday, I'm going to start with the practical aspects. I'm going to start with the practical aspect. So we'll just put it in the group so that you guys will decide whether you guys want us to meet on Tuesday or like same time, 7 to 9. We may find another software instead of the Zoom that we can have at least 1 hour, then another hour. Okay, for that. So thank you very much for joining us or joining this class today. If there's any question, you can raise it up. Do you have any question? I can see we are 11 people in this group. Any question on graphic design? Or maybe I didn't touch on something that you wanted to know. Because I realized that when we created a group, some of you were having expectations. You guys wrote them down. And so if you have any question, just I'll just raise it up. Any question? Any question?
Produce. No, you do nothing. Calm. Down.
So you question. We'll continue the rest in the group. So we'll make the poll so that you guys will decide whether we should meet on Tuesday or we should just maintain this Sundays. So we have just 2 Sundays more to go. And we are done. Okay. Michael, someone is saying that you have, okay, can ask the question. Michael,
Yeah, this my question is,
okay.
some of us don't have the Adobe Photoshop application on our laptop. So how can we get access to it so that when we start the practicals, we can also do something? At least when we are doing assignments, we'll be able to do it. So,
Okay. So before Tuesday, we'll create a Telegram channel where we'll upload the app there because the app is big. It's about, I think, either 2 gig or 3 gig. We'll upload the app there where you can get it and install it. The installation is very, very simple. You don't really need my help to install. So we'll just put the app there, then you can install it as well. Okay. So when we are done, as we are learning the graphic design, we'll have some maybe 10 days challenge where we can make designs. Maybe we'll take 2 colors and we'll just use those 2 colors to make design. Okay. Also, we have to make a poll on how many of us in the group have phones as well. How many of us in the group either have laptops because we'll be using laptops the most. Okay. Any other question? Any other question? Wilson, do you have a question? Okay. So thank you very much for joining. So we end today in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Okay. Bye bye. Have a nice week. Okay. We'll continue in the group. Bye bye.